we go. That should do as well. No, I think that's too small. Too small. Did I do it? I think so. All right, Bobs. We're back with Mary Leader's Salem's Children, which was her second book after Triad. Let's move a little over here so I don't get the glare of this lamp above me. Chapter 3. Much as I had longed for my own bed, I was dismayed when my furniture was delivered ahead of schedule the next morning. I had just stumbled back to bed after giving Carrie her morning feeding when the van arrived, squealing its way into the drive. With the party scheduled for tonight, this was all I needed. I hadn't brought a lot of furniture with me, but I could imagine the whispers about any changes I'd make in the house. One relative, it seemed, couldn't wait for the party. Charity appeared just as the movers were carrying Aunt Bo's dresser over to Dana's house. Careful of those marble tops, I panted, hurrying after them and coming face to face with my cousin. So you're tearing it apart already, Charity motioned to the men to set it down. Slight as she was, there was command in her presence. She ran her hand over the smooth marble. I see you don't appreciate things like this. My house is all Victorian. Aunt Bo said she wanted me to have this, but I take it she forgot. Well, be my guest, Charity, I told her. It really doesn't suit the early American style of Dana's house either. No, I wouldn't think of it, she said tersely. I don't beg for things that belong to others. Let it be on your conscience what's done with it. Oh, really, Charity? Dana was taking this only to accommodate me. It's too fine a piece of furniture to store. Would you like the big bed, too? I asked out of pure malice. Well, if you're sure, her pride and her inquisitiveness met head on. I can call Ward to send over a truck. I led her into the kitchen. Coffee? No, thank you, she said, twisting her gloved hands. I remembered Charity was never without gloves, even on hot days. But where was the old poise? She kept blinking, and her lips quivered slightly as she spoke. I was going to ask you to run over to Richland Center with me, she said, but I see you're busy. Do you suppose Rowan would like to come? I could show her around a bit. I felt guilty for my hard thoughts. That's nice of you, Charity. I'll go and ask her. And tell the men not to scratch any of my furniture. Rowan was not ecstatic. Do I have to run around with a poky old aunt? I mean, she's not your aunt, she's your cousin, but I suppose it would be best for you to address her as aunt. Go on, sweetheart, then you won't have to help with the unpacking. I bribed her. All right, she assented grudgingly, but I'm sure I'll hate it. She aimed a kick at the headboard of Aunt Bo's bed, which the movers had propped up against the wall. Ward's wife, Allison, arrived with an aspic just after the movers left. Thought you wouldn't want to bother with lunch, she explained. I thanked her. I just hope I can get things in shape for tonight. Frankly, I think the whole thing's an imposition, even if we are bringing the food. I tried to get them to wait a few days, but no go, so I came over to offer my help. The day was a scorcher. Sticky beads of perspiration darkened my halter between my breasts. Allison accepted a glass of lemonade. She'd aged more than I had anticipated. Her brown eyes were still as luminous as they were the day she married my cousin, Ward, but now the fine skin was sallow parchment, stretched taut over her bones, and her hair, though swept ingeniously into a figure eight at the nape of her neck, was the color of spun aluminum. I noticed with concern how emaciated were the long legs below her white shorts. Where are the children? She asked. Charity took Rowan out for the day, and Carrie's fallen asleep in her playpen. Well, don't disturb her. What can I do? Unpack china? No, that'll have to wait until I can clear some space in the cupboards. You can show me when everything's kept. Dana settling her things at her house. Allison began opening and closing cabinet doors. Have you seen Dr. Brunn yet? No, he and Dana should be here in a little while. I'm looking forward to meeting him again. People here don't know what to make of him. They can't understand why he wants to go poking around in caves, a man of his age. I confess he has even me confused. Did you ever hear of a Prince Madog? The strange name reminded me of my first meeting with Dr. Brunn, or is it Brune, in New York, just after Owen had begun work on Lucifer, a rock musical based on Paradise Lost. A famous Swiss archaeologist, psychiatrist, and controversial theologian, Dr. Brune, had acted as a consultant on the play. He and Owen had spent hours discussing religion in our village apartment. My father had been impressed by his writings, and I found this rather gnome like gentleman with his Van Dyke beard, white hair, and a patch over one eye to be not only remarkable, but compassionate. He'd noticed the amulet that Aunt Bo had given me as a child and become very excited, asking me all sorts of questions, and then recounting the legend of the Welsh prince Madog, who'd supposedly come to America before Columbus and with his party intermarried into an Indian tribe. What do you got, bruv? It was Dr. Bruin's theory that the tribe had migrated to the area, which was now Peacehaven, and that the cave in which my amulet had been found might be an old Indian burial ground. He'd vowed to come to Peacehaven some day to explore. I suddenly realized that Allison was awaiting my reply. Yes, I said quickly. Dr. Brune told me the legend and all of his theory. And of his theory, pardon, but I never thought he'd actually come here to prove it. I fingered my amulet. Strange that this bit of metal would cause such excitement. I hope for Dr. Brune's sake the cave really exists. Too bad old Two Knives isn't still alive. But his daughter lives here. She does? Yes, Dana. Didn't you know? No, I didn't. She should know about a cave. She says not, but you can never tell with her. Dana's like the river. She's quiet on the surface, but her secrets are like submerged sandbars. Looking for something? The paring knife. I thought I'd cut up some celery sticks. She took one with a long curving blade out of a drawer. Was there something wrong with Was there something wrong about Charity's taking Rowan out? I demanded suddenly. No, no. Why do you ask? The look on your face when I told you. Well, just between us. Charity has some odd quirks, she said, taking plates out of the cupboard. Not that I blame her. As a doctor's wife, she's supposed to show a brave face to the world, but she's had a rough time of it. First, there was Mark's death. Mark dead? I was aghast. I thought he was in medical school. Aunt Bo didn't write about that. No, she wouldn't. It affected her too deeply, as it did all of us. Our Bruce, especially. He's studying medicine now. He always wanted to do everything Mark did. What happened to Mark? No one really knows. His body was washed up on the riverbank just a little downstream from the Faulkner house. He must have gone for a midnight swim. Kids do crazy things. There was no marks of violence. Near the Faulkner house. Was Iris here then? I asked. Yes, but she claimed she didn't hear or see anything. Charity was devastated. Hear or see anything. Must have missed the period. Yeah, I did. Charity was devastated. I think that's what really made her lose the baby. Baby? At her age? Yes, after all those years, she's got. I'm still suck at reading tonight. Yes, after all those years, she'd gotten pregnant again. Some women would have wanted to shoot themselves, but both Charity and Damon were delighted. Anyway, right after Mark's death, the baby was stillborn, and she got it in her head that Dana had killed the child by overlooking her. By what? Overlooking her. It's an old Salem term for the evil eye. It happened here. She tripped on the circular stairs leading to the tower. Dana kept her from falling, but when the baby was born dead several weeks later, she swore Dana had killed the baby with her glance. How absurd. What did Damon say? That the child, a girl, died of natural causes, but Charity couldn't be persuaded. There is a rumor that Dana's own people thought she was a witch. Charity went so far as to hint that Dana had something to do with Mark's death, too. I should think Damon would have sent her to a psychiatrist. Oh, he did, but I don't think the analyst ever rid her of her obsession. Beyond helping her gain a measure of self control, she seldom talks about it now, and we don't dare speak of it to her. But you know, Charity, when she gets an idea in her head, it's impossible to get it out. I just hope she doesn't monopolize Rowan. Why should she do that? Ever since she lost the baby, she gets, well, crushes on adolescent girls in town. My Linda was first. Charity took her places, showered gifts on her, even had a bedroom decorated in pink, with a pink ruffled canopy bed, so Linda could sleep over. I believe she envisions her Elaine as a girl about Rowan's age. Anyway, the situation with Linda got so thick it became an embarrassment, and I was about to protest when she dropped her like a hot potato and turned her attentions to Sissy Osborne instead. Melvin's daughter? There's way too many characters being introduced here. Yes, he married Elspeth Bishop, and they operate his father's funeral home now. Then, after Sissy, it was Jessica Willard, and after that, Lucy Leroy, the minister's daughter, and so on. I suppose it'll be Rowan's turn now. Just don't let Charity take your daughter away from you. I thanked her. I need you, Allison, to fill in the blanks. Darcy's marriage, for instance. I'd always thought. So had everyone else. Marion came to Peacehaven with a partner who had emphysema and moved out here for his health. Their antique shop was a failure. The town had them tagged as gay right off the bat, but homosexuality isn't new to Peacehaven. After all, Darcy and Hannah. Allison shook her head. Homegrown lesbians can be swept under the rug much more easily than outsiders. When his partner died, Marion was utterly lost. Then the town rowdies began to harass him. I think they might eventually have done him physical harm, but Darcy spirited him out of town, and when they returned a week later, Darcy and Marion were man and wife. In that order, that was a slip, but it raises a good question. Which is which? Darcy does all the heavy work around the place. Marion cooks and cleans and polishes antiques. Darcy lowered her status a little, but Marion is now under the protective wing of local kinship, and what the devil is that? She exclaimed as a commotion outside brought us both to the window. What has mother's little darling done now? Dana was chasing a teenage boy down the drive. A plaintive bleating, not bleeding, sounded in the background. That's Junior Osborne, Allison said, turning to me. Dirty little bully. I'll bet he was teasing Dana's goat. So that's the bleating I heard last night. I didn't know Dana had a goat. The boy ducked just as Dana aimed a blow, danced out of reach, then turned and made an obscene gesture. Rotten little punk, Allison sputtered. Trouble is, he'll pay Dana back in some underhanded way, and then he'll go down to the patch and brag about it. The patch? Iris Faulkner's store. She's back in town, you know. The knife slipped in my hand and gashed my thumb. Iron is not a seemly metal. Where had I heard that? I held my hand under cold water more to suppress a sudden rush of nausea than to stem the blood. Blood! I thought she'd married and moved away long ago, I said. She did, but after 2 husbands, she's back. And so's her maiden name. She operates the patch, where your grandfather's general store used to be. Sells Levi's, leather purses, macrame, records, teen stuff. Her store is a hangout for the kids from all over the county, Peacehaven's equivalent of a discotheque. Rowan will be down there before you know it. Heaven forbid, who owns the building now? She does. Judge Faulkner bought it from Ward's, 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 Ward's mother years ago. He left his fortune in trust to Iris, provided she lives in Peacehaven. Being fresh out of husbands and money, she had little choice. She was divorced twice? Not divorced, widowed. Natural causes? She gave me a sharp look. You still think she was to blame for Gareth's death, don't you? No one else does, so forget it. Some do, Allison said, snapping off a stalk of celery. At first your story seemed incredible, and of course the Faulkners had influence, but afterwards, well, nothing much was said. Peacehaven likes to bury its dirty linen, but folks began to shun her, even the boys. And now? Oh, she's back in the fold, reconstituted by our present minister, who's a real hellraiser. I had had enough of Iris for the moment. Tell me about Dana, I said. She's strange. I heard an odd noise last night, like someone chanting or something. It must have been her. Dana's Dana, she shrugged. Some think she's a witch. One of her Indian ancestors was a medicine man, and her English mother and grandmother were supposed to have had powers. What do you mean, powers? Oh, second sight, controlling the weather, that sort of thing. Dana knows a lot about herbs. Do you believe that? She showed me a tiny scar on her right middle finger. I had a wart there. Damon excised it, but it grew back, so Dana mixed sesame oil with the juice of impatience, then plunged a red-hot poker into the mixture. She told me to apply this medicine 3 times a day for 3 days. It was a blend of 2 remedies, and she said, if one didn't work, the other would. And it did. The scar showed white against the sallow, purple-veined hand. Are you well, Allison? I asked. She withdrew her hand quickly. I'm fine. You look as if you've been on a hunger strike. Me, I eat like a horse. Maybe Dana could give you a tonic. I just did ask Damon about it, she admitted. He said it was hypertension and gave me tranquilizers. I was about to tell her it wasn't her nature to be nervous when Dana and Dr. Brune entered. Always I have trouble with that one, she was fuming. Once he struck Darcy's cat's tail in wet cement and left the poor thing out in the woods to starve. I'm reading a book called Salem's Children by, what's her name? Mary Leader. She wrote a book called The Triad, which was the basis for that song by Fleetwood Mac, Rhiannon. Once he stuck Darcy's cat's tail in wet cement and left the poor thing out in the woods to starve. I found Jupiter trying to drag a hunk of concrete. The tail was so infected I had to cut it off. Now he's tried to burn my caper. Singed his beard off with a propane torch. Do I have tangerine? The hell is tangerine? Only the hair is burned, Dr. Brune soothed her. He turned to me and held out his hand. So nice to see you after all this time. I greeted him warmly. Sit down, you two. Allison brought this aspic. Am I invited too? Damon. Never heard of it. The object of my first girlhood crush stood in the door, handsomer than ever now, his dark hair silvered. I had adored him secretly and iniquitously, even after he married Charity. Perhaps it had been his unattainability. But now, as he kissed me, I was conscious only of the wetness of his mouth. So much for schoolgirl romance. Do join us, I said. No thanks, I'm making house calls. I just thought I'd see if you needed anything from the farmer's market. I opened the refrigerator, favoring my bandaged thumb. I could use some eggs. What did you do to yourself? My knife slipped. Better let me check it. No, really, it's nothing. Okay, but keep it clean. A dozen enough? Plenty. Thanks, Damon. As his Mark IV glided out of the drive, another car rounded the crest of the hill. Well, if it isn't the Pope himself, Allison exclaimed irreverently. Dana and Dr. Brune exchanged amused glances. It's the pastor of the community church, she went on. Couldn't wait for the party. Remember Gladys, the church organist? Sure. Did she ever marry? Gladys Pudiator? Puttiator? The preacher, what the hell does that say? Puttiator? Pudiator? Gladys Pudiator. Is this supposed to be a fucking pun or something? The preacher eater? No, but she's still trying. I think our previous minister resigned because he was tired of dodging her. She was in her wig phase then. People used to lay bets on which one she'd wear next. After that, it was yoga. I think she's in the pyramids now. Is the new pastor single? I asked. He's a widower, and before he gets her here, I'd better warn you that people are already pairing you off with him, or Gregory Town, the newspaper editor. But beware, Iris, her tentacles are out too. Arch, or Ack, you disappoint me, Mrs. Proctor. Dr. Brune sighed with mock seriousness. Am I not also eligible? A little old, perhaps, but not too old, I hope. He did seem young and robust for his rather advanced age. Maybe it was his tan or what he was wearing, an open-necked white shirt and brown shorts. You'll always be eligible, Doctor, I assured him. You're coming to the party tonight, I hope? 9 Danka. Such an event is for family, and I must work on my book. Another time, mein lieb Freundin. Ah, guten Morgen, he addressed the man who entered now. Mrs. Llewellyn, may I present Lucien Leroy? Or is it Leroy? The newcomer had already had lunch, but he accepted the glass of lemonade I offered. As he sipped it, I watched him covertly, wondering why anyone would cast him as a suitor. He was of medium height, and his dark hair, shot with silver, swept back from a sunken, sallow face. Then I looked into his eyes, compelling, smoky eyes set deep in the hollows beneath peaked eyebrows. I felt myself shiver, whether from like or dislike I couldn't tell. I was about to ask him to say grace when Allison anticipated me. Dr. Broom was just about to say the blessing, she lied smoothly, nudging me under the table. Dana looked at her gratefully. I came to extend the right hand of fellowship, he said after the amen. What would ministers do without that cliche? I would like to welcome you to Community Church, he continued. As you may know, the Congregational Church no longer exists, except for a few Catholics who go to Mass elsewhere. Most of the people here attend community, or, he looked straight at my guests, just don't go at all. Allison flushed. Sorry, Lucian, she said. You know Ward and I have never been much for formal religion. We're like Aunt Beau. Aunt Beau. And a pity, he mourned. You and Ward are basically such good people. I pray that I may bring you to Jesus, while there's still time. It was a day of rejoicing when I brought brother and sister Carrie into the fold. Damon and Charity, I'd never thought of them as religious. Yes, they've been born again. Submit. I stiffened. Where did you hear that name? Everyone here calls me Mitty, as do all my friends. Had he gotten the name from my anonymous phone caller? His brow puckered. I don't remember, but I think it's a lovely name. Submit unto the Lord. Have you given yourself unto the Lord? He spread his hands on the table, narrow palms sprouting thin, crooked fingers with tufts of black hair between the knuckles. Have you truly, Submit? My father was a clergyman, I replied. This man had no right to conduct an inquisition. You evade me, he said. Being a minister's daughter doesn't exempt you from making your own decision. I sincerely hope you have. There was a distinct threat in his tone. My father preached a loving God, I declared. He said if there is a hell, it'll be one of mental anguish. Something flickered in those haunted eyes as though a door had opened and shut. And that would be the worst hell of all, he said. Agreed, but surely a God of love would give the soul a chance to redeem itself. You can't mean you believe in reincarnation. Dana, who had been sitting there, remote and withdrawn, suddenly leaned forward, listening intently. I don't know, I confessed. It's a tempting theory, although when I try to believe in it, it evades me, and when I try not to, there it is, luring me with its utter logic. Your father would be shocked to hear you say that. No, I replied, squaring off. I don't think he would. I can't see anything unchristian about a concept in which the individual soul can work toward perfection during the course of various lives, whether on this planet or others, or on different planes of existence. One lifetime is too short to work out our karma. Karma? I hope you haven't been influenced by this recent interest in the occult and witchcraft. Midi, he said, staring at Dana. That's satanic. I must see the caper, Dana excused herself abruptly. The thing that always perturbs me, said Dr. Brunn, after she'd gone, is the potency ascribed to Satan. He is not a creator god, he's a negative quantity. Without us to do his work, he is nothing. You just said that anything in the supernatural realm is satanic. Let me remind you that the most supernatural force of all is God. May I suggest, sir, that you reread the 12th chapter of First Corinthians? Lucian rose. It is also written, Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live, he quoted, putting down his empty glass. More lemonade? Allison asked sweetly. No, thank you, he said. I have other calls to make. As his car scraped on the gravel outside, she muttered, He has a burr under his saddle because Aunt Bo had Dr. Brune preach the funeral sermon. And besides, she laughed, I don't think he likes to linger with publicans and sinners. The hell's a publican? Is that like a Republican without a rep? Dr. Brune sighed. And this is Peacehaven. Salem means peace, I observed unnecessarily. My grandfather, Allison said, told me Salem was originally named Naumkeag after the Indians who lived there. The Puritans, who thought the natives were the lost tribes of Israel, believed Naumkeag was Hebrew for comfort haven, hence peace haven. The phone rang. I took it off its hook, my throat tightening. Hello? Submit, came the taunting sing-song whisper. Submit. Why did you return? We hate you. Move away, Submit. Someone has a poor idea of a joke, I mumbled. Submit, move away, we warn you. Take your daughters and go. We are many. Did you cut yourself today? We willed it, and that is only the beginning. I slammed the receiver down and sat staring at the cut on my thumb. And that's going to be all for this session because the next chapter is long as hell.